Harvey, what do I always tell you? Life is this. I like this. This is the 2024 Lexus LS500. And today, I'm going to show you if this car is still worth the $100,000+ price tag in 2024, and I'll go over as many of the little details as possible. I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. Make sure you hit like and subscribe for more Lexus-related content, and let me know in the comments below what you think of the new LS. So getting right to the styling, and the most important part of this particular LS500 is the paint. And I know on camera it might not be able to see like anything special, but this paint option is called Silver Illusion and cost this owner just over the $3,000 mark at $3,350. Now I was a little nervous because that is the highest cost paint choice that you could possibly get in the Lexus lineup. And when we called Lexus Canada originally to find out some more info about it, no one else had it. So no one could give me any personal experience with how the color looks. I will say it's very interesting and has a lot of character to it. I know at first from far away it looks just like it's silver, but as you get up close, there's no metallic in the paint, which is very rare for silver. So it's going to be interesting to see this outside on a sunny day, in the summertime, in the wintertime, because it does seem to sort of absorb the other colors around it and give you a little bit of that reflection, even though it's almost like a very soft satin type silver. In fact, one of the people that are here today said it's kind of like a silk blanket or a silk, like a silver silk pillow. And it does have that soft look to it and feel. It makes you just want to like put your face on it, not gonna lie. Okay, let's look at the front end. So this is the luxury package on the LS500. We have that very F-Sport style grille that comes standard now. It's like a gray color. It's still trimmed in a really classy silver. There is some angles and stuff like that at the top of the bumper that might be hard to see. But up here, we have some character lines, which is really nice. We have those triple beam, adaptive, intelligent LED headlights with the nice big daytime running lamp sort of that runs underneath. And on the LS, even the amber signal lights are very bold and demand a lot of attention, which is nice. Towards the bottom, we have some intercoolers off to the side in this vent. So one of them is sort of blocked off and is just for looks. Actually, there's a little bit of vent on that side, but on the other side, there is a lot more. This actually goes to the intercooler for the turbocharger that's in it. We also still have some headlight washers, some parking sensors, the tow hook cover right underneath there, as well as the Lexus little emblem right here on top of the headlight. Now, in terms of body lines, again, the silver sort of accentuates in some light, kind of washes it out in other light, but we have this body line from the bumper that sort of goes to the side and joins up with this little more like it's like a little ditch, probably for the air. And then there's the big one right up towards the center, and that's symmetrical on both sides. It is a big front end. Sometimes in pictures, people don't really get that vibe from it, but when you see it in person, when you see it on the road, I promise you that it has a lot of presence from that front. Let's go over to the side profile. First, we'll look at the 20-inch Hyper Silver wheels. Now, the nice thing about the LS for 2024 is there's 4 different types of wheels. This one is the luxury package, which is very similar to the executive, just a bit different of a color. Hyper Silver, I always find, is really classy. It goes with almost everything in the lineup in terms of color. In fact, I can't think of a single color it doesn't go with. And that is attached to a Bridgestone tire on this particular model. You'll see as we get past that fender, again, the paint looks very satiny and very soft. We have this body line start to appear above the door handles, and the mirror is all blacked out. But I will say, this mirror is different for 2024. And there's a little bit extra of a bulge underneath because the car now has things like intelligent parking, and that needed some more sensors built into that mirror, the bottom of the mirror. Looking at the other things, so the doors are super heavy and solid, and I'll just show you doing that. But also, when you go to close it, it's one of the very few Lexi that have soft close. And it's funny because any of my friends that have soft closed doors, whenever you get out of their car, they're always like, shh, use the soft close because I paid for that. So you gotta get your money's worth of all the times you shut the door. But I do wish Lexus had more of those. Profile-wise, as we get to the back of the vehicle, it is a very long sedan. It's the longest sedan we have. And you can sort of see that stretched out. Even the size of this back door gives you a really good indication of the size of this vehicle, but it still has a coupe-like design. So as you look at that back, it sort of tapers off, sort of like a fastback, even though this quarter panel is huge. And you can see just by me standing about it, or even just look versus that 20-inch wheel versus this quarter panel, how big it is. So I do really like that even the side profile has presence, especially with the Hyper Silver and the chrome. Again, it just shows a lot of class. I think it would probably pop a little bit more with the black, but it still washes together really nicely in the silver. Okay, so at the back of the LS500, we have these gorgeous layered taillights. It's sort of like what the LC has, but that does sort of with hologram magic and actually has like solid versions of them, but it still looks really nice and captures your eye. We have LS500 at the bottom. No, it doesn't stand for large sedan. It stands for luxury sedan, and it was the first sedan that Lexus released. All-wheel drive emblem because in Canada, all the LSs are all-wheel drive. Towards the bottom of the bumper, we have the tow hook cover to the right, and then this is actually sort of like a matte plastic gray, and we have the exhaust integrated into that. There's not really much of a diffuser. It's more just like a little trim kit, but it still has the exhaust ports, which is nice because a lot of cars don't have that anymore. In terms of the trunk, the opening switch is off to the right. It is power open and power closed, but you can also manually yank it open and closed. It's absolutely massive. You can fit a couple sets of golf clubs for sure. It does get a little bit skinnier as it gets deep, and there's no pass-through anymore, and the seats don't fold down. And a lot of that is to keep that cabin as quiet and insulated and soundproof as possible because a lot of sound in cars comes from the trunk. Not many people know that, but that is the case. Because the LS has air ride, there are some components under that fake floor in the back, so there's not a whole lot of room under there, but there is a little secret feature that I think everybody should know about. Off to the driver's side of the trunk, there is this little doohickey that can be twisted off, and inside there's an opening. In that opening, there is a little lever that you can pull out to open up the gas cap if you can't open it from the inside or if the power's dead or whatever. So there's a manual way to get in the gas cap. Okay, so sitting in the back of the LS, it's almost like the car started being designed at some point in history with the back in mind. And there's a lot to go over. At first, it might not look, super luxurious and full of amenities, but once you pull down this, which softly opens, it comes to life with this little screen that's back here. On here, I can control everything from the seat to the music, to the shade and lamps and the sunshades that come up and down. All that can be controlled from this little doohickey right here. And in some of the higher packages, you even have things like massage seats. But there's so many other details of the LS back seat. For one, that I just learned, is even the map lights, which is just above me here, there's two different types. One of them has two different settings. So the map lights have a bright and dim setting. And then there's the dome light to the right of it, which when you look at, it has all of these crystals in it. So it's even appealing to look at because it's like a light behind a little glass full of crystals, which is really nice. You can also tell that the LS, and for a long time, has been designed with the back seat in mind because we even have a vanity mirror in a big one too, for both rear seat passengers with a little beauty light. And I remember the story going is Lexus designed this car similar to how Toyota designed some of their full-size sedans so that the celebrity in the back seat could check their hair or makeup, if applicable, before getting out of the car to the paparazzi. So that's just a little fun fact for you. Hopefully that's true. I'm pretty sure it is. Also, we have this beautiful brown interior and the ambient lighting on the LS. Usually in a showroom like this, it's hard to see the ambient lighting, but on this, it sort of accentuates some artwork. On this particular model, we have some beautiful stitching and wood Alcantara leather on the door, and the light sort of just shines on some of that. We have some really nice wood grain, some metal, aluminum grills and things like that. And it's always really fun to be able to use the screen to play with the sunshades. So that's all through the screen here, which is really fun to do. Also in the center, we have an armrest with 2 USB-Cs. We have a couple cup holders up here on the front, and you can open the armrest from both sides, by the way, just by pressing these buttons. The backs of the seats have some wood grain as well. We have some vents in the center with the power outlet on the bottom. We also have some vents on the B pillar facing you as well. Some suit hooks at the top, and again, a really nice headliner that has sort of like that Alcantara feel. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, the armrest on the door is sort of floating on its own and is really comfortable. It's more of an armrest than it is a door, in my opinion. I will say, my head sort of is touching, when I'm sitting up straight right now, my head is sort of tickling the the bottom of that ceiling, but I can actually recline. So as you can see, I can actually recline a lot. So this is the full recline. Actually, no, sorry. I was able to do it some more. And then I have lumbar, some shoulder support, my headrest. So I can be pretty lounged back here. I'm 6'1". My legs still aren't touching the front seat, the driver's seat, which by the way is far back because it's in the easy exit mode. Maybe if I really push them together, it'll touch. But on a car ride, I would have a lot of comfort here and still have a ton of seat adjustments, like the shoulder bolster, which is amazing. I have a bottom lumbar. I even have cushion that I can raise up on the bottom, and some pelvic adjustments, which I've never heard of. And you could press it to automatic, where the car will just kind of put you back to that sitting upright. It's like when you're when you're in the back of a plane and it's landing and you gotta like put your seat back upright and fold up your tray table. That's what the Lexus does for you. Okay, some final things. We have this big fish mouth type map pocket on the back of the front seats. And that's pretty much it for amenities. Lots of speakers for the Mark Levinson sound system. And let me show you the front. Okay, so I did exaggerate something earlier. The LS isn't actually designed only for the back seat, but also the front seat, and there is some updates to 2024. When you're sitting in it, there is some beautiful appointments, things like this aluminum trimmed dash, which even when you just feel with your fingers, I don't know why I touch everything, it's not just pleasing to look at, but it also is very high quality to touch. The wood grain inserted steering wheel is very light when you're going around corners and when you're just parking and stuff like that. It is very nice to touch, especially with the wood grain inserts. I do really love that. And speaking of wood grain, the wood grain in the center is equally as nicely appointed, with this big panel being mostly wood now, because we got rid of the touchpad. And when we got rid of the touchpad, we brought that screen a little bit closer and we replaced it with something we needed in the LS, and that was some quick buttons for the seats and the climate control for the seats. So now we have a button for heat, cool, heated steering wheel. We have the rear sunshades we can up and down just by pressing this, where just 2 years ago, you had to do it through the screen and it could be quite cumbersome, even when there was a shortcut at 1.2. But we also have some other new features like self-parking. So as you go up to a parking spot, you can hit the little intelligent park button and your mirror will scan the parking spot. You can let go of the steering wheel, it'll park the car itself, and it is amazing. We also have bird's eye view beside that. We also do have a little shortcut button for some more seat controls, like massaging seats, which, by the way, if you've never felt the massaging seats on a 2018 or higher LS500, you are missing out. It is unbelievable, and unlike any other massaging seat that I've ever felt in a car, where it's not just about it's not just about vibrating and moving around, it actually is using pressure points and feels like someone is actually using their thumbs, which is really nice for a long drive. You definitely get less stiff, in my opinion. And there's a little shortcut for that right beside the bird's eye view one, and you can hit appointments. So you can hit, click on your seat, customize it a little bit, but also you can do the massage, click on the seat, do upper body, centrifugal, central pedal, lower body, lumbar, etc., etc. You can change the power, you can change the intensity. It's very intuitive and works amazing. Another little detail about the inside of the LS that a lot of people don't realize until they own it is the volume knob. So it has this volume knob, and the outer collar of the volume knob is the tuner. So if you're one of those people like me that go through radio stations all the time, you can tune, adjust the volume all very quickly. We saw this only really translate into the ES after the LS. So I'm not sure why we haven't seen that in other Lexus vehicles. Otherwise, we have the new driver monitor, which is for things like traffic jam assist and that new Lexus Safety Sense 3.0. So if you're driving and you get into traffic, that will monitor your face so that it can turn on traffic jam assist, which is a really great feature. Also, we have an all-new heads-up display, and very surprising Lexus did this, but I'm all for it, a new gauge cluster. And the reason that's such a big deal is because for many years, it was that LFA-inspired TFT display where you would move the mechanical thing over, but now it's this very sharp, sort of layered or multi-page display, and it reminds me a lot of the new TX. It's almost like they tested it in the TX and worked out really well, so they put it in the 2024 LS. It's very sharp, it's gorgeous. In my opinion, I don't need that LFA-inspired TFT display anymore. We also have some heads-up display, and also, oh sorry, this is a really cool feature that not a lot of people know, and that is the height, the different height that you can adjust. So you can sort of have it when you park the car will raise up so that it's easy to get in and out, and then when you start driving, it lowers down again. So that's using the air ride. It's a cool feature for anybody that likes the height of an SUV but wants a car. I think that gives it so that it's a no-brainer for both. We also have the digital mirror instead of just a regular mirror, so you can flip that. We have the Mark Levinson sound system all around, and I could go on and on and on about the interior of this LS. But I will say one thing. It's not the limousine style car anymore. And I don't mean because it doesn't have the amenities of that. I mean the drive. Because of the power plant and the suspension and all of the tuning, it's actually fun to drive, even if you don't drive anybody else around, it's just yourself. It's a blast. So just because you don't need people with backseat support and seat adjustments and stuff like that, the LS is a blast to drive. So there is one hidden feature that I learned today, and that's this little divot here near the armrest. When you open up the armrest, which can be opened from either side, you can see inside there's this little insert that I was like, what is that for? That doesn't make any sense. And then I realized there's padding, like very soft foam padding, if I stick my hand on there. And then I realized that's where you put your phone. So you just slide your phone on this little hidden pocket, and it's a wireless charger, and it has like a little change shelf above it, and it's all hidden. And your phone would just sort of sit right there. Very smart, Lexus, good job. So a lot of my viewers always ask, what about under the hood? Well, under the hood of the LS, we have a 3.4 liter twin turbo V6 with 416 horsepower and 442 foot-pounds of torque. There's not a whole lot you can see, but there is some really nice touches, like this little carbon detailed side accents and the beautiful twin turbo label at the top, the Lexus emblem in the center, some big air intakes off to the side. And the driving experience is very smooth, smoother than a V8 in my opinion, and has a little bit of that turbocharged punch, and the weight to power and balance all makes an amazing driving experience. So in Canada, the LS starts around the 100,000 mark. In the States, you're mostly around the 80,000 mark with packages, 4 different types. So we have the entry level, then we have the luxury, the executive, and the F-Sport sort of in between there. In my opinion, the executive package is only worth it if you are gonna be in the backseat of the car. So if you're gonna Harvey Specter, be the one driven around, because all the executive really does is add features to the back, things like massaging seats, etc. The luxury is a really nice bang for buck, where you still get some amenities in the back, but most of the stuff is for the driver and front passenger. And one of my favorites is the sport. So you get those really aggressive wheels, a sport tuned suspension, a little bit more of that driver oriented, but you lose a few of the luxurious features. So you tell me, which LS would you buy, or would you go with another full-size sedan from another brand? Let me know in the comments below. I do try to read all the comments and respond to as many as I can. And I wanted to thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe for more Lexus related content, and let me know if there's any other videos you'd like to see me do.